Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea Pickett. I am a first year dental student at ECU. I'm wrapping up my first year. I am originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I moved to Greenville from Raleigh. I spent a few years in Raleigh. So, like I said, I'm wrapping up my first year, and today I'm going to provide some information about some things that you can do to make yourself stand out while you're applying to dental school. Before we get started, I would like to ask everyone to take a moment of silence. Today is what would have been Breonna Taylor's 27th birthday. Back in March, Breonna Taylor was murdered during the execution of a no-knock warrant. So in honor of her, I would like for us all to take just 27 seconds for what would have been her 27th birthday. Thank you. Okay, so I just have a few points that I would like to talk about. So when you're applying to dental school, things that you can do to make yourself stand out. Some of these things are things that I did, and then some of these things are things that I maybe wanted to do, but it was too late, or it just wasn't really my lane, not my specialty. But so the first thing I'll talk about is research. You could do research, write a paper. Um, for me, that was not what I chose to do, but I always thought it was really cool to hear about people who did research before coming to dental school. It just shows your true interest. Another thing that you can do is start something. So start an organization. For me, I started a business because it was just the right time for me. I do believe that that helped me stand out because not a lot of people my age had a business, or not a lot of people applying had a business. So I did that. Another thing that you can do and should do is volunteer. Having a lot of volunteer hours can help you stand out, and it also shows that you're willing to do more than just look good on paper. Most of the time, if you're volunteering and you have a lot of hours, it's probably something that you truly care about. Um, and with volunteering, I would say longevity is better than quality, meaning if you only have two volunteer experiences, but you've done them over a period of time, that still looks just as good as somebody who has maybe 10 and has only, visited those places or volunteered at those places twice. So how do you decide what you are going to do to make yourself stand out of those things that I just mentioned? I think that it's very important to make sure that you know about the mission, what the school is standing for, the school that you're applying to. For ECU, it's all about serving the underserved. So volunteering is a big deal. It's very important. And on top of that, there are things that you can do in dentistry to volunteer, like the mom clinic. And I did mom clinic. I did some dental buses. Um, so those are ways to get experience in dentistry, maybe shadowing or hands-on type of experience. But you don't have to just do dentistry. Another thing that I've always been pretty passionate about is education. So I spent a lot of time volunteering in elementary schools, specifically underserved populations, elementary schools with underserved populations, because I know that ECU likes to focus on serving the underserved. Another thing that helps you stand out is being non-traditional. So I hear a lot of people say, I'm too old to apply to dental school, or it's too late. I applied to dental school when I was 30. I was 30 when I applied, and I started when I was 31. So, and a lot of people would say, you're getting a late start on life. But if you apply to dental school and you've already lived a little bit, you're going to have a different experience. You're going to be able to bring that experience to your peers, to the school. Also, having work experience, that helped me stand out. It was something that was actually mentioned to me during my interview process. One of my interviewers did say, you know, I like that you worked while you were in school. I like that you worked after school. Um, Another thing that you can do is you can apply as a disadvantaged student. Of course, you should only do that if you truly do fit that description. But I know that when I was applying, I struggled with that, and I think a lot of people do. It's a matter of, am I truly disadvantaged? Am I disadvantaged right now as I'm applying? My advice with that is to really, really research that, look into what makes someone a disadvantaged student. For me, I decided to go ahead and apply as a disadvantaged student because I did come from a high school where there were low test scores or a high percentage of students on reduced or free lunch. And that was enough to technically make me a disadvantaged student. So I would encourage you to not be ashamed to apply as a disadvantaged student and to embrace that. It does make you stand out. And along with disadvantaged, it can be financial, it can be economic, it can be social. There are a lot of things that can make you disadvantaged. So, again, I would encourage you to really look into that. Um, Another thing, don't be modest on your application. So, yes, you should be humble in person, but on your application, that is your time to brag. That is your time to list everything. Again, I applied when I was 30, but I listed accomplishments from high school, all the way back from high school up until I was, applying, up until the time I was applying. So, um, do list everything, everything. For me, one of the things that I listed was that I wanted to highlight my dexterity. I am a dental hygienist, so I did think that that would probably come through on my application, but I didn't want to rely on that. So I also highlighted that I participated in all county band when I was in high school. So things like that. Some people can even put video games if that's your thing, knitting if that's your thing. Um, just think outside the box when it comes to that. I would also say use your personal statement to tell your story. I hear a lot of people using the personal statement as maybe like an essay. And typically it is, but it's also your chance to explain some things that don't come up on the application itself. So if you have maybe a low grade that you want to explain, if you want to explain, talk about maybe some other experiences outside of dentistry that maybe inspired you to become a dentist. So for me, I told the story of when I shattered my front tooth. That made me, of course, I had to go to the dentist, and that is the experience that really made me say, I think I want to become a dentist. Like, this is it. And I was only 8 or 9 years old. So I told that story to let it come out that this is what inspired me versus just saying I was inspired when. I actually told the story, as in I was pedaling as fast as I could down the street. Just be very descriptive because they're going to remember you. They're going to remember your story. And the last thing that I would say is it's very important to form a relationship with someone at the school before you apply. even if it's just one person, because when your application comes across or it comes up during the admissions process, you want someone to know who you are. So that could be through doing programs at the school. So for me, when I knew that I was going to apply to ECU, the year before I applied, I participated in the Impressions program or the Impressions Day program. UNC also has an Impressions Day. I had actually done that one 10 years prior. So, yeah, I would say make sure you have someone that you can contact, even if that means you're emailing them and asking them questions. They're going to remember you, and you are going to stand out in that way. You can also set up meetings. There are always information sessions, but I think you can have the opportunity to set up a one-on-one meeting, and of course, that would be more personable, and you'll really get to know, you'll get the vibe of the school. So those are the things that I thought were important. Some of the things that I did to make myself stand out, and by stand out, I mean these are things that came up in my application process.
Wow, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions?
What's been the hardest thing for you with dental school?
So I would say the hardest thing has been the social aspect. I thought that it was going to be academics. I thought that it was going to be like you're taking so many courses. We have a test every Wednesday. Those things are hard. It is hard to balance all of the work. That's true. But for me, it's definitely the social aspect, meaning connecting with everyone. I'm a homebody and I like to keep to myself, so I'm not as sociable, and that can work against you. You won't get to know your classmates if you're like that. So for me, it is the social aspect.
Is there anything that you wish you would have known going in to dental school?
There are a lot of things I wish I would have known. How can I put this? Mm, I wish I would have known that even though I had experience, like hands-on experience working as a hygienist, you're still, when you get in the lab, even when you're like waxing teeth, when you're starting from the very, very, very beginning, there is still a lot to learn, and it's still hard to balance didactic courses with the hand skill courses. It makes for a very long day. Um, you already know that there's going to be you're going to spend a lot of time at school, like studying and all of that. I just didn't realize how much. Like I said, I'm a homebody. I don't like to be on campus studying or doing anything like that, but it's going to come up. That's just the way it is. You're going to spend a lot of time studying, and it's going to be important for you to form a relationship with at least one or two people in your class. I would say those are the two things that I just didn't really realize how deep it was.
And also, what do you enjoy most about your experience at dental school so far, your first year there?
Hmm. What do I enjoy most? Um, so far, because it is just my first year, So far, I would say SimLab. Right before the pandemic started, we were working on restorations. So we had started using hand pieces and burrs. And that to me, even before I got to dental school, that was always exciting to me. So I was excited to start SimLab, but I feel like we were kind of just getting our feet wet and then all of this happened. But so for me, that's been the best thing so far.
Has it been hard to adjust to the fact everything's online now?
Yes, very, very hard to adjust. Like for me personally, um, my internet has been out because something's going on with Suddenlink. So there are ways to join the courses with your phone, or you can call in, but that doesn't speak to my learning style. It's not the way that I learn, but I have to do what I have to do for attendance purposes. So for me personally, it's been hard just for that reason alone. But even when my internet was working, it's just not the same because you can get up and walk away at any moment. But you're not going to do that when you're sitting in a classroom. But when you're at home, nobody's watching you. So it takes a lot of discipline. So yeah, it's been hard to adjust.
So, where did you go to undergrad?
I went to UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh,
I I spent 6 years there. So I graduated in 2010 and then again in 2012. So my two undergrad degrees are in sociology and then dental hygiene.
okay. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I just wanted to know, like, as a minority woman in a PWI setting, how do you stay motivated to continue to reach for your goals? Because I found myself kind of having a lack of motivation since I've been at ECU to continue on my journey, which is to be expected because, of course, they're trying to weed you out. But still, how do you stay motivated?
It was very hard. In fact, my freshman year, I was taking biology 101, and just like you said, they try to weed you out. So it's a huge, huge class. The professors don't even know your name pretty much in those classes that are the beginning, the basics. And I went to an academic counselor, and she told me, even though we were in the middle of the semester and I could have turned things around and she could have encouraged me to turn things around, I had a C. And she told me, you might as well give up on going to any type of med school, dental school, whatever you want to do. You might as well give up because everybody wants to be a dentist. Everybody wants to be a doctor. And you can't do that if you have a C. And I'm thinking, I'm in my freshman year. We haven't posted final grades yet, and that's your message to me. Um, Initially, I believed her, and I was like, oh, she's right. Maybe I should just look at something else. But I kind of like to find solutions to my own problems, whether it's me asking somebody or just sitting and thinking. And I thought about it, and I was like, no, she's wrong. So I'm gonna find a way to fix it. So what I did was, a lot of people tend to think that you have to major in biology or major in chemistry to apply to dental school or med school. I chose to major in something that I really, really enjoyed, which was sociology. And my plan was major in something that you enjoy. That way, you're going to do the work, you're going to get the grades that you need. Let those grades keep your GPA up. And then you take the science courses as you can. Of course, you want to take as many as you can to demonstrate that you can handle the workload. But that was my plan. Like, get the grades that you can get doing something you enjoy, and then if you're not strong in science, take them as you can. Do your best. That was just something that I planned to do, and it seems to have worked.
And I was wondering, how do you know a school is right for you? Like, I know you said you went to UNC. Like, how do you know ECU would be the best place for you instead of like UNC General School?
Well, for me, I knew um, it's not that I didn't want to go to UNC because I did apply to both. I already knew what UNC was like because I went to dental hygiene school there, which is right there in the dental school. But I did not know anything or I didn't know much about ECU. So when I did the Preparing Tomorrow's Dentist, that's what the program was for ECU. That was my first contact with ECU. I did Preparing Tomorrow's Dentist. I think I said I did Impressions Day. I didn't do that here. It was only at UNC. Preparing Tomorrow's Dentist was my first contact with the school, and it was just the vibe was just so welcoming. I felt like Greenville wasn't too busy of a place, not too much going on, and because I'm a homebody and I'm not super outgoing, that didn't bother me. And getting to know some of the people here, that you know, I felt like they would remember me for one, and it just felt very personable. Just everybody was so relatable. So and then on top of that, I liked their mission, that they want to serve the underserved, and also that they care about making sure people who come from backgrounds that are not represented much in dentistry, making sure that those people get a fair chance or an opportunity to pursue dentistry. That was important to me also. Nothing against any other school's missions, but I wanted to stay in state, and I got to do that. And then I wanted to go to a school whose mission aligned with some of my personal beliefs. So I think if you look at all of those things, it will make your decision a little bit easier.
And you also knew of any like websites or like certain programs for scholarships for dental school?
I didn't use any websites really. As far as scholarships, everyone tells you apply for FELS, which is a forgivable loan, and it every year that you get the loan, you have to promise to serve in North Carolina. So once I got a scholarship from the school, it was not something that I applied for. It was something that they came up with while they were choosing who was going to get in. And I just felt like that was enough for me. But so I'm not familiar with a whole bunch of websites or a whole bunch of scholarships for dental students because it wasn't something that I applied for. Anything else from anybody?
When you took the DAT, when you were trying to study for it, were you also working?
Yes, I was. So my study schedule was quite different from other people's. I did use DAT boot camp, which is now pretty popular. I actually took the DAT twice. So the first time I didn't do great. It was pretty average. Um, so I talked to maybe three different people and asked for an opinion. Should I retake the DAT? Because nobody wants to retake a $400, $500 test if they don't have to. But I knew that my score it wasn't great. So two people told me, yes, you need to retake because that's not a super competitive score. One person told me, no, you shouldn't retake because there were other things that I could use to put on my application to maybe compensate for not scoring so high on certain um, areas of the DAT. but I chose to go ahead and take it again. So I did retake. I did score a little bit higher. And it's not something that I regret doing. I think that there's always the risk that you'll score lower. So you do need to keep that in mind. But with me studying for the DAT and working, really I was only getting in like maybe 3 hours a day, because I would get off from work, get home, and then, after a certain hour, you're tired and your brain is not going to retain anything anyway. So, yes, I was working. If you don't have to work, then I would recommend not working and spending more time studying. But if you do, just keep in mind that you have a goal, that you're you're trying to get somewhere. That's what I had to keep telling myself, to push myself to continue to study, because I wanted to sleep all the time. Any other questions?
Oh yeah, thank you for doing this. I know you're still in school, right? Are y'all still in school?
Yes, we are. I am actually trying to be discreet about my location, but I am on campus. Yeah, we're still in school. We wrapped up classes today around 3. So, yeah. Anybody else want to ask anything or want me to share anything? Is anybody applying for anything? Any dental schools? Like now? Or getting ready to?
I'm thinking about applying for this cycle, but I'm not really sure right now, just with everything that's going on currently.
Yeah. That's actually something else that I have been thinking about, because knowing what I know as a hygienist and having friends who are hygienists, um, things are very hard right now in dentistry. But for me, I'm graduating in 2023. By then, we should have something um, in place for people who are becoming dentists. So for me, my concern right now, it's not as great as somebody who just graduated. The school is doing everything that they can. So I would say go ahead and apply if this is something that you really, really want to do, because this pandemic is going to end. It's going to be over at some point, or things are going to get way better. We're going to have a vaccine. We're going to have PPE. So I would say go ahead and apply. Um, Never know what's going to happen to you years from now, and you don't want to have any regrets.
Hey Chelsea, sorry
Okay.
I didn't get to catch you in the beginning. I'm not sure if anyone asked this already, but I was just wondering. I'm going through the process right now of applying, and I was just wondering what was your like number one advice while applying, like making sure your application stands out and everything.
Number one advice. Um, Use your personal statement to tell your story. That's my number one advice, number one piece of advice. There are going to be things that you may need to explain, that you don't have a chance to explain on the application itself. So, like maybe you're putting in your grades. You do have to, well, I had to manually enter my grades, so I don't know if they changed that. But maybe you're putting in your grades and you got a low grade in something. That's something that you can tie into your personal statement. That is something that I had to do, that I chose to do. So I would say tell your story, be very, very descriptive. And some of the things that I talked about in my personal statement, of course, the event that inspired me to become a dentist, which was when I fell off my bike and shattered a tooth. I also talked about my struggles in school. struggling with the science courses, and what I did to keep myself going, like what kept me motivated, which was knowing that I had a goal in mind. I wanted to demonstrate my determination. I also briefly mentioned what I did to stand out as far as starting a business. So if you start an organization or you write something and get published, go ahead and try to incorporate that some way in your statement. And then I tied everything together at the end to say, I know dental school is going to be hard. I expect that, but I've been determined thus far. So I know I have the determination, which is super important. I have the determination to make it. I'm going to do what I have to do to get through dental school.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
You're welcome.
Also, for the transcript part, I received my transcripts from ECU, and then also took like one course at a community college. And so, the part where it tells you to review and finalize your transcript? Mm-hmm. So when someone reviews that part for you, does that happen after you submit the entire application, or like when you press that button? Because I was kind of confused by that.
So I think that your application is technically not complete until everything is like verified. It's like a verification type thing. Because you manually put your grades in, and then you're also, well, at least for me, I don't know if they've changed anything. You also send your transcripts to ATSAS. Mm-hmm. So it's more of like a verification type thing. But with that being said, make sure you apply early, and early being try not to apply after July. That's just what I used for myself. So if you can apply earlier than July, go ahead and do that. That way, if there's any bumps in the road, or something pops up where they can't complete your application, you'll have a little bit of time to get it in, because you want to be seen before everybody else.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one more question.
But okay.
When did you take your DAT? Did you take it before you applied or during the process?
Both. So the first time I took the DAT was towards the end of 2017. So maybe like November 2017. Application process started May of 2018. And when you take the DAT, you want to take it in advance enough time so that if you have to retake, you have that time to do it. There is a waiting period. I think it's 3 months you have to wait before you can retake it. So I had plenty of time. I was also in grad school. I was getting my master's, and working. So I had a lot going on. So taking it in November 2017 and seeing that my score is not what I know it can be, I had plenty of time to retake it. So, but I chose to retake it in September of 2018, which means I retook it after I submitted my application, because some schools, maybe not all, but some will start the reviewing process. They won't make a decision on whether or not you get an interview unless they have your final, your last score. So there's a place where you indicate that you're taking the DAT currently. So I put that on my application, and then I would say maybe just a few days after I submitted my final DAT score, like I'm not retaking it, I got an interview invitation, and it was really fast. It was like within the same month.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? No.
if we have any more questions, can we like contact you from anything?
Yes. Yes. Do you guys want me to say my email, or Kayla, do you want to provide it to them?
I can provide it if you. I know you want to study and everything. If you just DM the Mocha Girl Instagram account, and I can send her email to you.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Were you all at the, there was like a meeting at the beginning of the school year, like in the fall. Was anybody there? That was my first introduction to Mocha Girls, but I've not had any contact since then just because I've been so busy. But I was just wondering if anybody was there. But no,
I was there.
you were there. Okay. Okay.
And yeah, I definitely want to do more with the dental students, with the medical students. Just things sort of got hectic towards the end with Mocha Girls. You know how that goes. Everybody's busy, exams, yada yada yada. So, yeah, we're definitely revamping our program. Currently, we have expanded to other subject areas like art and business and leadership. So yeah, hopefully we can have some more involvement with you guys in the coming weeks.
Yes.
But thank you so much for coming on tonight and presenting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, well, if that's all, that concludes Mocha Girls in Medicine Week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Join us next week. We're doing leadership, Mocha Millionaires. That will be the focus for the week. So that should definitely be something for a little bit of something for everybody. So yeah. Taylor, did you have any last remarks before we close out?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.